honestly, it's fallen flat on its face for every team except for TSM. What is it about Von-C that makes him able to just pick up this weird stuff and still make it work in every situation?
Well, it's a composition. They pick Crow to counter Adagio Glaive, and then they play double weapon Crow with the Tension Bow, Poison Shift to counter Adagio heal, and then a Bone Saw to help shred armor so Baron can then do more damage. So it's how he plays the hero and the opportunities he creates that lets him get ahead.
And at the same time, you know, just Von-C is such an incredible talent, but also having Best Chuck and A and Flash X around you also helps makes these picks work a little bit better than other teams as well. But it really is a combined team effort for both of these squads.
I mean, the entire team of TSM very happy to go with off-the-wall picks as well. I mean, we've seen the Jewel coming through for Best Chuck and dominating on that one. But Cloud9, not an opponent that you can underestimate, and not an opponent you can mess around. Baron banned immediately. No way that's going over to Best Chuck.
So Vox will probably be banned here since Baron is banned. So they're going to take off the Vox off the map, and Cloud9 will probably take either Lyra or Grace. It depends on what they prefer here, because Lyra and Grace are both kind of equal. It's just how they're played and what composition they're with. But let's see what TSM does here, because I think Vox ban would make the most sense, and they have tended to ban Vox on the B side and A side actually. Vox and Grumpjaw are the biggest bans that TSM has on their draft ban phases here.
I'd like to see Cloud9 go for the Grace as a, go for the Lyra as opposed to the Grace here, just because of how proficient Flash X is on Lyra. It feels like absolutely his signature, and it'll be able to take that Baron and Lyra combo away from TSM totally, because those are easily the two top picks for TSM, or at least in recent few games. So just removing that, getting TSM onto picks that just have a little bit less strength.
Oh,
but Idris
they secure Idris. Idris is actually the third best laner, I would say, after Vox and Baron is off the board. He's just extremely flexible, can be played CP weapon, and one of the best weapon power laners right now in terms of his late game damage output. So now that leaves Grace for TSM, because I think they'll probably pick Grace, because Grace is melee, good against melee, and they'll ban the Lyra. And then Cloud9 will probably ban Grumpjaw, because Grumpjaw is really strong with Grace or Koshka. They can do Koshka or Grumpjaw here, but I think Cloud9 will most likely ban the Grumpjaw. They tend to ban Grumpjaw, but they can also ban Koshka because they can pick a Rhyme into a Grumpjaw. So like Rhyme would work into like a Grumpjaw Grace combination here.
See what the pick is going to be for TSM. They could always save the Grumpjaw potentially, but if you do that, you give the opportunity to Cloud9 to lock that one up if it passes over once again. So we'll see where TSM are likely to go with this one. Still quite a while on the pick, but they are going to go in for the Glaive.
Glaive is an interesting pick for them to go for. Obviously, you know, wanting something that can knock the Idris out of position. Kestrel and Catherine very quickly. Cloud9 knowing exactly what they want out of this pick.
Glaive is good because Glaive is can match up against Idris and fight him 1v1. And he's a warrior, has a lot of health, so Idris can't burst him down immediately. And then Kestrel just playing the range game here against TSM. So now they might pick an assassin potentially here to get onto that Kestrel. They need something to get onto that Kestrel, or they can pick someone that outranges the Kestrel, or pick Skye and just counter Cath. There's a lot of options TSM can take here. They're going to go with Adagio, wow. So they're going to go a jungle, Glaive, and Adagio, which is kind of risky, but let's see what's going to work out here.
Yeah, so Best Chuck saying, actually, are we saying jungle, Glaive, and lane Adagio?
Yes.
Okay, so Best Chuck definitely taking this one up against Old School, because this is kind of Old School's pick, right? This is what everyone knows Old School for, so Best Chuck definitely kind of taking this one too, and we'll see how that matchup is going to pan out for them. How are we feeling about the compositions, generally speaking, then? Do we feel like either team has an advantage, and what's the win conditions coming in here?
I gotta say, I really like the composition that Cloud9 has. I feel like the Idris is a very strong pick into the Adagio, and the Grace can counter it a bit, but as long as he really times his ultimates well, he's going to be able to block and ignore either the Holy Nova or the Verse of Judgment, depending on where in the fight they are at the time. And I'm really big on the Idris pick in general, and I think Old School is a great Idris player.
All right, so we've got one definitely in favor of C9. How are you feeling about this game?
I think TSM is probably going to win, because when Grace gets to late game and she has Echo on her ultimate, Glaive will just go in there, put someone out of position, and then they'll just delete that person. Gabe will probably carry with some Cath sciences, but I think Flash will be able to block that.
All right, we have a split desk on this one. I want to know whether we have a split audience as well. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Are you a Cloud9 fan? Are you a TSM fan? Are we going to see Cloud9 finally get back into these matches between the two powerhouses? It's time to find out as we jump into our second semi-final.
Thank you very much, guys. And TSM, the true titans right now, undefeated coming into this one. Even had a convincing game against Cloud9 last week. We'll see if they can repeat that performance.
And look at this, Best Chuck moving in with FlashX. FlashX incredibly aggressive. Wow, he's even gone to contract 2. Does have that stolen away by Gabe Bizzle though, so it's a little bit of a loss in their books. It looks like they're giving Vonsi his backs. And obviously Best Chuck just making that aggressive move into lane. Doesn't lose too much for it. A couple of minions, but not a huge amount. Don't even know if he lost 1 minion. I don't think Old School was able to push quick enough here. TSM get to the late game with this double heal composition, even through the Poison Shiv of Old School, which he will build in this Idris build, by the way. He's got the Book of Eulogies already. I feel like there's too much work for C9 to have to do. Do have I Love Joseph on the CP Kestrel though, can snowball very quickly, so we have to keep our eyes on that.
TSM trying to make a play already. They find the Catherine Gate. Bizzle going very low. Have to use those boots and exiting on TSM's side of the jungle this time. Couldn't quite find anything else, any meaningful damage. Early game Adagio, not too hot on the damage front, but still getting the boots out of Gabe Bizzle is very important.
Yeah, again, stops his ability to just run in and do these kind of plays. Will get the stun onto Best Chuck, already built up 4 stacks at this point in time, and you know, one of the major things for Catherine is, you know, where she's played now, just build up stacks. Build up stacks as quickly as possible because you can accelerate your defenses, you become a lot harder, and you can see Gabe as well, every time that stun's on cooldown, just looking for the opportunity to land some of those stuns. We will get punished potentially, but Best Chuck didn't want to commit with Flash X there. Felt comfortable enough just forcing him out of lane and then putting pressure on Old School. Looking forward to seeing FlashX play Grace. He's been one of the main proprietors of using Grace in very interesting ways, as Old School takes a lot of damage here.
Oh, another basic attack could have just finished him off, especially as he was burning away. TSM already forcing Old School underneath this turret, but it's kind of what we imagined anyway. Gabe Bizzle comes in with another stun on FlashX, but a Benediction will, you know, meet him more often than not, you can imagine. I Love Joseph now rotating from that jungle. It's going to use the active camo, but TSM, more the wise.
Vonsi now moving through. We'll see that the forward healing tree is up here. Joseph is going to do his backs. Imagine Vonsi is just going to trade this one up nicely. He might even look for an invade onto the backs here. I Love Joseph is a kind of revealed at this point, and Vonsi is going to jump in.
He's going to find him. He does find that afterburn. There's a lot of damage down to Joseph. Vonsi actually just tunneling him. He's actually going to chase him all the way around the Rosie he goes. Does find Gabe Bizzle. He's going to find the stun, but FlashX is going to come in. Isn't going to be able to spot I Love Joseph. He is now because he jumps straight out of active camo. A basic attack with Flash X. A Benediction is available to him. Just goes straight in. Secures first blood for TSM. That's going to be a big gold swing for them as they push in this turret as well.
Oh, and they're going to counter them.
Oh my goodness. Old School didn't stand a chance. Flash X with a double kill.
Vonsi has been so decisive in these fights. Throughout all of the games I've seen TSM play, Vonsi has been playing on another level for this team. You know, everybody from TSM performs incredibly, but Vonsi has been on aggressive early game junglers. He has been decisive. He's been instantaneous with his ganks, and you know, he's really embodied that saying that he is, you know, sort of encaptured in terms of his fan base, that no fear, just fight. He does it the same thing here, puts pressure onto I Love Joseph in the jungle, knowing that if he catches and keeps on to a CP Kestrel, it's very difficult for her to trade and escape. She wants to use those active camos, but you have a wind-up time when you take damage. It only gets reduced if you build the weapon power build path. With CP, you still need that wind-up time, so you can stick to a CP Kestrel. It's very easy to put pressure on her, and especially in the early jungle, Vonsi found his opportunity and took it.
Yeah, 2 kills on Flash X though. Not the person you want him on, but hey, still 2 kills nonetheless. I did see the Elder Treant die and was like, huh, why is it dying now? But then realised the jungle was intensified. My brain just had a mini fart, but hey, Old School's actually going to have to get out of lane very quickly. Gabe Bizzle popping those boots again. TSM going very aggressive. Vonsi wanting to make these plays time and time again. Afterburn on cooldown, I'm going in.
Absolutely, with no fountain just being used by Gabe Bizzle as well. Prime opportunity to find another afterburn gank now that it's up, and he's going to do it.
Oh, see, on cooldown time and time again, wants to go in. Old School burning away. Gets meeten by Best Chuck and A's auto attack, and will take him down. And now they're trying to force I Love Joseph out his jungle, taking that healing camp away again. Not sure he's even had won this game.
Goodness me, this is classic TSM in a nutshell. Huge pressure in the early game. That double heal as well, eventually going to come online once Flash X hits level 6. And Vonsi has been the proprietor of every TSM move Every time they want to fight, he is there, ready to afterburn, ready to isolate a target. And those targets are so easy to take down because it's so easy to deliver a squishy target like Idris or CP Kestrel and immediately Gift of Fire onto that target. It makes it hard for CP Kestrel to escape, and then the big hitting basic attacks from Agent of Wrath also afterburn them into a Holy Nova as well from FlashX. So many ways to lock up these very, very squishy targets.
Speaking of FlashX, goes in very aggressive, and Best Chuck was following him up on that damage, but was met by Gabe Fizzle. Merciless Pursuit did land. He has got the healing for himself, so we'll be able to just use that to make sure he's nice and safe from a turret dive. But he's going to actually have to go back here and refill his HP up to make sure that he does get to lane nice and healthy. Vonsea took a little bit as well, but they are more than happy just to clear out this wave. And now you can see C9 maybe looking to take away these fronts, and in fact deciding against that completely. Haven't touched TSM's jungle at all, which has been complete contrast of what TSM's done, just forcing Joseph to only have those back 2 counts.
Major item spike picked up by Old School has unlocked his divergent paths. The earlier you do that, the better on Idris. Also means he can escape those afterburn ganks instantaneously. If he becomes the target, he just uses his A, jumps out of there. It's an instantaneous blink now, so you can get past that afterburn. He is now an easier target for C9 to protect. Has the ability to escape from those afterburn ganks. And if I love Joseph positions correctly, he shouldn't really be in a position where he's going to be easily afterburnable. And if he is set up those active camo traps as well, Vonsea might find it difficult to isolate the targets that he wants to from now on. We've hit a point in the game where Kestrel's a bit safer. Old School's hit those divergent paths, so he's become a bit safer. He's working towards the Poison Shiv as well, which will be a huge way to shut down post-6 FlashX and the healing coming out from Best Chuck.
Going to be very beneficial to his build path. Going to have a little bit of damage and sustain in there as well. It's quite important. He has got that Sorrow Blade, but Joseph did rotate down to the shop a minute ago. He's picked up that Shatter Glass, so wanting to go that full burst CP Kestrel.
Something that I really want to touch on here is that despite C9 arguably being behind, Gabe Bizzle is still ahead in levels. He's shared experience with Joseph. He's got to a really key level of level 6, meaning that they have the ability to disengage with silence. They have the ability to turn these fights with silence. Yes, I love Joseph is a little behind Vonsea, but again, it's just a credit to the way that C9's share experience in the jungle, hit those item spikes as a unit, as FlashX does tank up that one-shot, one-kill, but not doing a huge amount of damage to someone who's got a lot of health and a bit of shielding behind him.
Yeah, Gabe Fizzle finds another Merciless Pursuit. Best Chuck has got alternating current now, so being able to auto-attack Gabe Fizzle down is fairly important to the winning conditions of his team fights, of this team fight composition. FlashX going in once more. They do find the stun on him. Here comes Vonsea though, driving him straight into the back line. Fountain on C9 is going to help him stay alive at the moment,
dead.
but Old School just goes down instead as Agent of Wrath basic attack just pummeling him into the ground. FlashX chasing away Joseph now. TSM looking towards this first tier turret. Might just take it out as well.
Again, it looks like FlashX was trying to zone out Joseph there. Now it's a good opportunity to put pressure onto this tier 1. Joseph will come through. He will be able to clear waves quite nicely, and Vonsea's going to have to back out here after drawing the aggro from the turret. I think a couple of the splash damage hits on turret did proc onto Gabe Bizzle, drawing that turret aggro to him. Good defense by C9 in that situation, given the fact that Old School did burn pretty much everything to survive there, yet was still taken out. And you also saw how good Gift of Fire is against the Kestrel. Once the burning is applying, it's difficult for her to slip into the active camo. So if you land the Gift of Fire onto Kestrel, you can easily chase her down while that is burning. Really good area for TSM to look to put pressure on in these team fights, because if they can get that onto Joseph, he becomes a very good target for TSM to focus down, because you don't traditionally build defense as a Kestrel, which means you're very easily bursted by this sort of item spike that Best Chuck and Ace picked up, and the fact that Vonsea is going to be hitting his Poison Shiv pretty soon too.
Got one kill, it's going to find Best Chuck. That's a lot of damage, but he is going to heal that up quite nicely. In fact, FlashX decides, Divine Intervention isn't too much of a big cooldown, so we're actually going to use that on you right now and heal you up for this next engagement. Now Gabe Bizzle, like you mentioned a minute ago, was ahead on levels, but level 6, level 7's even coming in through FlashX now, does have the ultimate, and everybody's kind of fully online now. Vonsea now finding once more Old School jumps straight onto Best Chuck, though he just goes down instantly, and in fact, this is Cloud9's fight to win. FlashX, though, dashing forward, will be able to find the last basic attack onto Old School to take him out. So 1-for-1 trade thus far. Both laners falling here for C9 and TSM. a nice edge right now, but C9, they finally find their first kill.
They need to be super careful now Poison Shiv has been finished by Old School, because it does mean that Best Chukane has become far more vulnerable in these team fights. His own healing and the healing of FlashX will be reduced through those grievous wounds, so they need to be very careful about how they approach now. Best Chukane also, he's going to be suspect to hit from glimmer shots. He will be taken pretty low, and that's why he's gone towards picking up some armor and a reflex block just to give him that extra element of defense. Would like to see him think about shielding soon. Looks like either Joseph is maybe working towards a second Shatterglass here, so he's going to go down a double Shatterglass, I feel, which means he's probably working towards just blowing up Best Chuck when he gets the opportunity, as well as the fact that it doesn't look like Von C has prioritized too much shielding either.
Yeah, it's actually prioritized a little bit more damage in his own Poison Shiv. Now they do find Gabe Vizzle. That Mortal Wound is going to be extremely important to apply, like you mentioned, but they're going to jump straight out to Joseph once more. Does end up kiting back, but TSM seem undeterred. Now Gabe Vizzle's in the front line. Murderous Pursuit to stun him up. Now Best Chuck is in a lot of trouble here as Old School jumps on him as well. Burst of Judgment's going to come down, but it's not going to get finished up the channel. Old School, Gold School comes up with a double kill, and now FlashX is going to have to use those boosts to get away. They're still trying to chase him up though. Those glimmer shots just sending him away.
Synergy was not quite there with TSM. Von C Community didn't get the gift of fire applied to the Kestrel. She slipped into the active camo, and then TSM put themselves into a choke point by choice. And it was a perfect time for Old School to move in and make the flank. Didn't even use the ultimate either. Was able to get those mortal wounds onto Best Chuck, finish him off, and Best Chuck used that last-ditch attempt of channeling his virtue of judgment. Didn't land it because he got taken down so quickly. Got to be careful about how you approach these fights and your target selection for TSM. Yes, Idris is not a key target anymore. You can't lock him down previously like you could because he's got now his ultimate, and obviously with those upgraded days, they're going to be very careful. Whoa, FlashX.
Oh, hang on a minute. FlashX in the front line. Now he's trapped against 3 members of C9. Ends up falling. They go into that choke point once again, Excoundro, and TSM, they pay for it.
Didn't have any of their cooldowns up. I think FlashX actually had found him, but must have realized that he was dead regardless, and that's going to give Goldmine over to C9. And suddenly C9 are finding resurgence. They have not had this kind of game against TSM since the Unified Live Championships. And they are finally finding their feet here in the North American VG8. And if they can take out TSM, that would even be considered an upset. Even despite their performances in the Unified Live Championships, TSM have been dominant beyond reproach in the North American VG8. If C9 can find this win, it would be huge for them. Huge for them and their confidence as well, going towards the end of this split.
Undefeated thus far. Maybe C9 will hand them their first defeat right here, right now. Okay, Vizzle has had quite a game as well. FlashX actually finding him though. Holy Nova is actually going to get cancelled completely. Having to channel a little bit later there. One shot, one kill, goes a little bit wide. Okay, Vizzle looking maybe for an entrance here with the ultimate. Did actually use it a second ago, and that's what was blocked actually. FlashX doing a good job of that. Benediction is going to be able to save Best Chuck. Got a little bit confused there, but there comes the Versus Judgment. Old School straight on the backline once more. Fountain is going to heal him up, and Best Chuck almost survived that engagement entirely, but letting Joseph go into slip space, letting him go into that stealth is not what TSM want to do. They end up finding him, and Avonsi, after cleaning up Gabe Vizzle and Old School, they aren't going to be able to find him. They aren't going to be able to find any meaningful damage onto this turret. Joseph very, very low. In fact, FlashX might just solo him out here. Double Shatterglass doesn't really seem to care. In fact, he's just going to take him out with a benediction.
Grace just soloed out Joseph.
TSM fun, yes.
And was FlashX channeling the heal onto himself there. They're going to get another turret from this. That was nice. They got the gift of fire onto Joseph. They forced him far out the fight. Best Chukane did it, land an impactful Verse of Judgment. And Old School was then the target after they turned onto Joseph, but that was nicer from TSM, more coordinated. They wanted to apply the gift of fire to Joseph because it forces him out, it makes him feel awkward about taking more aggressive positions. And Old School didn't quite get the burst damage out necessary to blow Best Chukane up. The longer the Best Chukane survives in these fights for TSM, the better it is for TSM. I know that speaks for itself, but it realistically is. You know, he needs to be surviving for as long as possible, at least until they've taken out one member of C9. Give credit to Von C where Von C's credit is due, though. Everyone is heavily itemized into this shielding now because of the double Shatterglass build from Joseph. You can see Aegis finished, Aegis almost there for Best Chuck, who's sitting on 2,500 gold, by the way. Probably working towards a broken myth after this, you would imagine. Usually the generic item spike after an alternating current is a broken myth, but I think because You know, it's such a squishy target that builds no defense in the form of Joseph. It's better to have that flat burst damage coming out. Makes your Agent of Wrath better as well, which if you can get that onto Von C when he's next to the Kestrel, it's a pretty good situation to be in.
Well, FlashX is in a pretty good situation right now. That's got the Echo to his name. Did recently purchase that, as well as an infusion. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of healing coming out from him. And again, more importantly for Old School to apply these mortal wounds, Best Chuck is going to come up to the lane here, maybe just to meet it, in order for them to get the vision using those minions. However, TSM have got other ideas. Well, the rest of TSM have got other ideas. Hanging around that tri-bush, but Cloud9 are going to get spotted on that scout trap. So they're just going to swap places, it seems. They're just going to go back to the lane. They're going to go back to their jungle. One shot, one kill, just to scout out anybody from Isle of Joseph. 2 Shatterglass online. I mean, he's looking ready to go. He's even got a clockwork.
Despite the outcome of this series, this has been a great display of 2 of the most proficient North American teams that we have in the Vainglory8. This is the kind of level of competition you expect between 2 closely respected and fiercely respected opponents. C9 have that big front line, 31 stacks on Gabe Bizzle right now. Have to be careful about the way that you approach him in these fights. He's got Null Wave Gauntlet 2. If he can lock down FlashX in these fights, that's a great position. And FlashX has not yet thought about prioritizing Reflex Block. Has got an Echo. We have seen that from the Graces in the past. I think specifically we've seen it a couple of times over yesterday in the North American VJ. Whoa.
Joseph, hang on a second, Bonsi. You've smelled the rat and he is going to go down. There comes the Burst of Judgment as well. It's going to almost obliterate Old School. Vonsi ends up finishing him off. I mean, he was just waiting there for Joseph to come out of stealth. Like a little scaredy mouse, ends up going down, and that will be a Kraken going over to TSM.
FlashX didn't even need to use his Echo that fight. He's going to get the heal off cooldown again. He can channel that onto Best Chuck. Looks like that's where they'll go eventually. But this is going to be an easy Kraken going over to TSM here. What a fight. Again, Von C being the proprietor. The silence does come out on an attempted steal, but doesn't land for Gabe Bizzle. That's a 50-second cooldown TSM can look to exploit as they push in towards the base now. They'll have a very limited time window to use this with now. But the Echo's still there for FlashX. It's a double heal once he hits level 12, which, admittedly, he is now level 12. So now he's got 3 points in the ultimate. That is huge for them. Not only is the ultimate on a short cooldown regardless, he can use it twice. He could probably get it off even 3 times in a fight. Keep your eyes on FlashX, ladies and gentlemen.
So looking good for TSM. Even though the Goldie doesn't really speak it, Joseph doing a fair bit of work to this Kraken now. He's going to be able to make mincemeat of it. It eventually falls down, still knocking away at their doors. Joseph maybe needs to back up just a little bit here because Vonsi's just going to come flying in. Old School is going to have to back off now just because that massive burst of judgment is going to execute that turret. Gabe Bizzle going in once more. Best Chuck is completely left alone here. Just do 3 DPS on the back line. FlashX is going to heal up Vonsi as well using that ultimate. Gabe Bizzle now on the run.
Oh, he misses the opportunity.
Oh no, he just gets out alive. Joseph though, triple stun using that active camo. Look at Old School now in amongst the 3 members of TSM. Once more, Joseph, this could be his time to shine, but he just gets cut down in front of your very eyes.
Oh my god. Look at the health bars on TSM. That was an insane area where Joseph almost won it for C9, but the damage was not quite there. He's got to burn through double Aegis. He's got no piercing yet. That was just flat CP damage. And you know what flat CP damage is really bad against? High volumes of shielding. Each of these members of TSM with Aegis will be sitting at roughly 215 or so shielding. That cuts CP damage by over 66%. Those Shatter Glasses will not be having the same effect that you would have had by having a Broken Myth, but again, Joseph might be finding it difficult to land those and build those Broken Myth stacks right now, but that was the prime opportunity for Joseph to make a massive turnaround play, but the damage because of the double Shatter Glass and the shielding that he's facing wasn't enough. But a triple man Kestrel active camo stun is not a kind of opportunity that you're going to get often against TSM.
Exactly that, and I would definitely agree. You could argue a Broken Myth rather than a Shatterglass right here would be more effective. And the amount of time he was actually in the engagement with TSM, you can imagine he'd have built up a fair few stacks, maybe 5, 6 of them. He would have probably found himself a triple kill, in all honesty, but that is all in hindsight, of course. Now TSM, firm control of C9. Again, the gold hasn't really spoken. the normal numbers you can kind of see with a lot of teams in the VG8. TSM and Cloud9 so close. The pinnacle of Vainglory in North America, you've got to say. I mean, even looking back to the Unified Championships, just so dominant in their performance against each other and everybody else.
Active camo has been set up here. I don't think TSM are going to fall for this. Piercing didn't come up with Joseph. Joseph just gone for more flat CP. I would have much preferred a piercing shard, I feel, for him as that item in the last slot, unless he's not choosing to go for a broken myth. The amount of sustain that TSM have was insane that fight. FlashX to be able to stun this up.
Benediction straight on to Old School. Vonsi taking a lot of damage though. There comes the blast drum and silence everybody up. They're just going to focus out Best Chuck here. They need to be able to get him out of the fight. But Old School just cannot find the finishing blow. Kraken's going to get started up. Once again, that divine intervention comes through from FlashX, saving Best Chuck's life. But Vonsi, it wasn't enough for him to survive. That'll be 1 kill for C9 now. That Kraken's still on the board available to him, and 38 seconds on Vonsi's clock.
TSM should be able to protect this though. A couple of cooldowns are down for C9. They are going to go for it. Idris takes these Krakens incredibly quickly. You saw how quickly he chunked through it as they were defending. But they do have to be careful about a TSM steal here. Verse of Judgment is there. He can go for a very edge Verse of Judgment. I think Gabe will try and stun this one out, but it's going to get secured.
Yeah, 1 shot, 1 kill is going to find that secure. FlashX now on the front line. Did try and go for a Benediction secure, or steal, I should say. Didn't quite find it. And now that Kraken is marching, going to be marching down the lane for C9 very shortly. Good, again, all turn on its head. TSM whimpering a little bit now, but still in fighting form. Vonsi has just been in those front lines, but just cannot make the damage happen on the back.
I really like Old School's gone for the breaking point here as well, realizing that building the breaking point stacks over the course of a sustained fight that TSM are bringing to the table is very important. That's a big hit.
Big onto Joseph, straight on top of him. Here comes the Holy Nova, just stunning him up, locking him down for absolute days. Oh my goodness, TSM or just Vonsi finding these fights where they matter. That Kraken is going to get mean work and just beaten out of it, but it is going to be able to take down at least one turret.
What a play by Vonsi, single-handedly keeping TSM in the running here again, isolating Joseph immediately in the fight. And Joseph, which is still not picked up a piercing shard, having to invest his gold so heavily into the infusions now, especially at this stage in the game, it's going to be hard for him to finish another item, you feel, before this game's over. This is the pinnacle of his damage. Admittedly, it's a lot of CP, double Shatterglass and Clockwork, with the Clockwork increase to your CP overall. Item silences seem to have been pretty effective against FlashX though. You feel that he would want to pick up somewhere in his kit a reflex block, or just think about crucibling the item silence in the first place.
Visual coming in with another stun on to Vonsi. They need to find the back line here. They do take out the Crystal Sentry. FlashX taking a lot of damage. That 1 shot, 1 kill is just going to finish him off, and Old School's going to jump in. Best Chuck down a health bar just completely disintegrates. Vonsi trying to escape with the afterburn over the wall, but Cloud9, they know exactly where he is. They want to be able to find this ace. Old School is just going to come up and meet the lane, maybe. In fact, he's actually just going to go recall here. Vonsi still determined to stay alive. You're not going to be able to stay alive for 40 seconds, though. Not when Old School has backed. He wants to find that kill. They need to be able to kill him to get this ace buff, but how long that will take, that's a lot of time wasted in the lane.
But killing Vonsi has allowed them to buy time and to ensure they have some form of defense if C9 push their base. I think FlashX is now disrespecting this breaking point on the Idris as well. He got 16 breaking point stacks. I think he might have even got more in that fight. And that, against the double sustain composition compared to the tension bow build, is far better for this Idris, because he just hits harder and harder as the fight goes on. And you expect long, elongated fights against an Echo Grace and Best Chuck NA having the heal with the Adagio as well. Looks like, oh yeah, finally, FlashX has picked up a reflex block because these item silences have been killing him in these fights. He needs to reflex block it. I think it's even more important than having those flares on board. Has the contraption for emergency flares in the middle of a fight if he needs it. Vonsi should be up now. This could be a big fight around the Kraken. It will go down so quickly if TSM don't respond though. Do have to be wary of how quickly an Idris and Joseph on this Kestra will get through the Kraken.
Kraken dance is about to commence. See what Cloud9, if they want to go for this big engage. They do have that blast tremor to get on the back line as TSM. But Vonsi has just done a fantastic job thus far. It's going to be a big stun actually onto Best Chuck, and he uses those boots to get away. 1 shot, 1 kill will find Vonsi. Once again, they are able to just disengage here. Without a chip on their shoulder, really. They are chunked out, but Cloud9 actually going to respond here with a Kraken start.
Oh, that's going down very quickly. TSM, they might not be able to get there in time. It is so quick. They're going to go straight up for a 3 versus 3 around the Kraken.
Well, actually, just letting the Kraken, just wander around a little bit. Cloud9 going for another engage. FlashX is going to get found out. Here's Von C, though, looking for an opening, looking for an in. Can he find it? Not sure he can. Old School once again jumping on him. Just goes dashes straight.
Oh no, they isolate Best Chuck.
Oh, Best Chuck's completely isolated, but that massive Divine Intervention will heal him up nice and safely. Again, another Divine Intervention from the Echo is going to heal Von C. Now they can jump to the back.
What a play!
It's going to go down. Best Chuck just raining down damage, and Von C, the hero for TSM, is going to find 2, and now it's up to Gabe Vizzle to defend.
That was an insane play by FlashX, just timing those Divine Interventions so well, keeping both of his members alive. I don't know if it was a bait. I think Best Chuck genuinely was out of position, but the recovery from TSM was so good. That's the ace. That's the game for TSM. The late game fighting still proving that they are the best in North America. What a way to open up the series between TSM and C9.
Cannot believe it. TSM on what seemed like a surefire win at the beginning of the game, and then Cloud9 slowly inching their way back in. But TSM, they are the #1 for a reason. Not defeated just yet. We'll see if they can carry that trend on. What a fantastically well played game. This is the pinnacle of League of Legends. Vainglory. It's been a long day. It's been a pinnacle of Vainglory in North America for just this reason.
Don't worry, buddy. I understand.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
Oh, yes, it has.
But yeah, I think, let's be honest here. This was all facilitated right at the end there by FlashX. I think he might have even been far enough away to prevent the item silence from Gabe Vizzle. But, I mean, fantastic play from TSM. The sustain comp coming out true in the end.
Sustain comp worked out well for them. We'll see what they do want to do in the draft stage. Next game, we'll jump over to the analyst desk and they can break that down.
What a game between TSM and Cloud9. It goes TSM's way in the end, but Cloud9 stepping up their performance. They are looking way better, way more coherent than what we've seen out of them in recent history. They seem to have really leveled up basically overnight because they look a lot better than they did yesterday.
Yeah, this was an incredible game. I mean, so back and forth in the mid to late game, and it looked like Cloud9 were going to come back. It looked like they were going to be able to take this one. Those item silences were doing so well.
Yeah.
Gabe Vizzle was playing phenomenally, but then finally FlashX was able to prevent the item silence from costing them a team fight. It was really well played all around.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Suijay, what happened during these fights across the game?
Yeah, the early game, they did a good job ganking, and, TSM got an early lead. They definitely focused on the Kestrel. They won a lot of key fights. And then it started to shift once Gabe got that no-wave, and he landed some really good silences, and he no-waved Flash. Right here, you can see he's item silenced here. And they didn't win the fight here because Joseph was caught out. Von C caught Joseph twice. In the bush. So really smart play by Von C there. And Gabe just really carried the game with Old School. I mean, he landed so many good silences that turned the key fights around. And Joseph landing this active camo, if he put 2 traps down, that would have been an easy kill. But it was only 1 trap, I believe. And then another trap doesn't land here, unfortunately. Actually, it does land, but he doesn't get the kill. Yeah. But you can see Grace, Echo, Divine Intervention really saved the day. The last fight was what determined it. Gabe needed to focus Flash. Every time Gabe disabled Flash, they usually won those fights because Flash couldn't fountain, couldn't block silences, and they will engage with the team silenced.
Yeah, just look at these crazy heals coming out during these fights, and you can just see Von C finally go down. That was one of the fights that C9 did manage to win. As it got later on, it felt like C9 were doing better and better in the fights, but then finally TSM turned it.
And this is another big item silence one. You can see here, as Flash gets lows, he gets item silenced, then the Blast Shimmer comes out, so the entire team gets silenced, and there was just no chance for Flash to try and save himself, let alone his teammates. But then here's the final fight.
Yeah, here's the final fight. Gabe needed to focus Flash here, so they got a little antsy. They wanted to engage, but look at the Divine Intervention. He uses it twice. Here's one Divine Intervention. He echoes it, and he uses it again. The team is silenced, but it doesn't matter. Old School is already low, taking so much damage, and if Von C gets another Divine Intervention, Von C should have kept going, actually, because Divine Intervention, the Holy Shield, reduces damage by 50% almost, and it allows you to tank damage and get a heals, and that's what makes Grace Echo so strong.
The other thing was, in that final fight, when the silence came out, like you said, it didn't matter, because at that point, Adagio had already had the Gift of Fire down, was already buffed. Glaive had already used the Afterburn. It was already on cooldown. There was nothing that the silence really affected, and because Flash X was not silenced, he was able to get those Divine Interventions down. So it was just Flash X positioning at the same time. You say Gabe needs to focus Flash, but Flash also had phenomenal positioning there so that he couldn't be focused without them having to go past the other two.
Yeah, FlashX 626 at the end of that game as well. I think he got the first 2 kills of the game on that Grace. Phenomenal performance from him as ever, though. You kind of expect that from FlashX at this point. Let's start talking about this next upcoming draft, because I feel like there are a lot of questions that need to be answered for Cloud9. They were so close to taking this one, but could not quite make it happen in the end. We could be looking at another TSM 2-0, which is the last thing Cloud9 needs right now.
Yeah, and I think that Grace is a huge question mark for Cloud9. You know, do they want to play against it and maybe play better this time? But late game, that Echo Ultimate, if it's not disabled, is just too strong. And that's something that they definitely need to consider, because Cloud9 actually will take the Grace normally on that A side. So it'll be interesting to see how this draft plays out.
There's also another question mark for me, was the itemization from Joseph. Went for the double Shadow Glass with the Clockwork, which that's fine. That's a ton of damage. It's over 400 damage you're looking for at that point, but or over 400 crystal power, I should say, not just damage. But then there's no pierce. And so it was a whole lot of shield got built up by TSM, and that massively diminishes the returns that you get from the crystal power. So
yeah, they're going to take Lyra here and then potentially open up. They're going to probably take Idris and ban Baron or leave Baron over, but they don't want to give Baron Lyra over to TSM. So let's see if the Cloud9 is going to take the Baron into a Lyra composition here.
Yeah, and you can see Cloud9 banning away that Grace as well. They saw the sheer power of Grace coming out from FlashX last game. They don't want to deal with that again. Idris is going to be the first pick here for Cloud9. That means Baron suddenly not really a pick that TSM can comfortably go for.
They should still ban Baron, though, because Baron's Lyra is still very strong, and Idris gets disabled his abilities when the Bulwark is up, and it's going to heal Baron. So I still think Baron is a smart ban here, and that they're going to go ahead and take away the Baron. Now, TSM will probably ban either Koshka or Grumpjaw, because that's a really strong combo with Idris there. They can push a lot of early game aggression. Idris can go CP, Grumpjaw can go weapon. So I think TSM, based on their draft history, they normally ban Grumpjaw in the second phase if it's not already banned. So let's see what they decide here.
Yeah, a few options available for them in TSM. They're sitting comfortably at this stage. They obviously have to play these drafts still well. They still have to go in confident and playing at their best, but they're in a good spot. Actually going to ban away Taka.
I think Taka, because they want to play a mage potentially, or maybe a squishy like Ringo or Gwen into Idris.
Batiste also open, and we've seen Bunsey loves Batiste.
Yeah, but Batiste is good into Taka though. So the Taka ban, it to me is very interesting. Like, what are they trying to pick there? They're trying to pick something squishy, maybe a Crystal Kestrel probably potentially, and play the poke game. Yeah, they want to probably play Lyra with double range poke, I'm assuming. So Arden may be picked up by Cloud9 here, or even potentially Kath, but I think Arden or Kath would make sense. I would like to see Kath. Yep, Gabe's gonna pick Kath, because if they pick Kestrel, Gabe's gonna completely counter that.
Yeah, and we saw Gabe play this last game as well. He's exceptional on that Catherine. We'll see what the option is now for TSM. As you say, the Kestrel kind of off the table, and it feels like with the Taka ban, that was the way TSM were leaning.
Yeah, very smart. And now Kath picked. Now you can't really pick a Kestrel. A Kestrel would struggle really hard until a Catherine pick there. So they had Batiste open, which is good to like, or even Rhyme into. But Rhyme, if they pick Rhyme, Cloud9 is going to pick Sky, and that's during a counter, so Rhyme will not come out. But I think Batiste, Samuel may come
Sky
out.
Rhyme.
Or they do a Adagio Glaive again and try like a double heal composition again. That may work. They may try that again.
I don't know if that would be a great idea, though, just because the Idris very likely is just going to be able to go into a Poison Shiv and makes the double heal not quite as effective. I mean, they were very close to turning that game around. They are going to grab the Glaive,
and then, is this Adagio or is this a Scarf? Like, he's not going to play Scarf. Could be Adagio, but I think, yeah, Adagio or Scarf would make the most sense here, or even CP Ringo. They may do a CP Ringo here, honestly. So let's see what comes up for Chuck. What does Chuck want to lane? Oh, they're going to lane Glaive and the Sky into the Cat. Wow.
All right, bold picks from TSM. We've seen them go with bold picks in the past.
That's why they banned Taka.
This isn't the first time.
Take Sky. So that's Sky or Kestrel. So now Ozo may be a good pick for Cloud9, honestly, because they need a hero that can get onto that Sky or Grumpjaw. They can do Grumpjaw Koshka and have a double stun, Catherine stun with the Koshka, play really aggressive early and shut the Sky down. Let's see what they decide, but Koshka may look good or Grumpjaw here, potentially. But they need to snowball, though. That's the only thing about that.
I wouldn't actually be very thrilled about a Grumpjaw pick here. I think Sky does really well against Grumpjaw. It's going to be Koshka, though. So Koshka, Idris looking for that hard dive composition.
This is an incredibly aggressive composition out of Cloud9. They are looking to make things happen in this game. TSM, they're going to be the ones kind of defending their title and defending themselves during the early game as well. Cloud9, they're going to have to make things happen here with this composition. How are we expecting this game to plan out then? Can Cloud9 put on that early aggression that they're going to need to here?
Yeah, they're going to have to with Catherine and Koshka. That's a really nice combo that can lock down the Sky, take her out, and then snowball. So I think Cloud9 can take this game as long as they got a snowball.
I think this one's going to go TSM. The Koshka is very strong early on, but once the Frostburn comes out, it's going to be really difficult for this Koshka to get onto a target and stick on the target. That's going to be the big concern for me, is their ability to stick. Idris and Koshka both have one jump each, and once that's down, it's going to be difficult.
All right, we'll see if they can kite this one out, whether Cloud9 can lock them down and finish them off. Cloud9 versus TSM is the matchup on our hands. Hashtag Vainglory8 is how you can let us know who you are supporting, who you want to go to the finals here at the Vainglory8. But it's time to jump on to the Halcyon Fold for the second game of the semi-final.
Thank you very much, guys. And can TSM still go undefeated with Cloud9 just not hesitant to pull the trigger, but just could not find the big all-engagers they needed last game? They got a Koshka this time around. We'll see how they do it.
Yeah, this kind of plays more to Joseph's strengths. I've always seen Joseph as similar to VonC, a big playmaking early game jungler. You know, he likes to get the aggression in the early game. He likes to be able to run away with things. Kestrel can do that, but it's not quite the sort of style that I'm used to seeing Joseph play as. VonC on Sky, though, it's been a while, I think, since I've seen him play this. This will be a very interesting game for TSM because Bestchuk and will be the one running with the Koshka, with the Glaive this time round. In the laning phase, you know, he's going to be looking to pressure on Old School, which, you know, realistically, this is a matchup that Idris doesn't fare as well in because it's a big bruisery type weapon power hero. You know, Idris likes to have those squishier targets to land the big chakrams on. It'd be better for Bestchuk and in his laning phase versus Old School here.
Bit of relieving of pressure, I think you could say. Relieved a little bit. But Flash X, I mean, coming up against Joseph on this Koshka is this Bright Bulwark. That's the target you want to hit on it, right? You want to make sure she cannot jump onto VonC, cannot jump onto Bestchuk. I mean, it's Joseph's, one of his signature carries. Very aggressive in the jungle role. We'll see how it makes it work. At the moment, Gabe Vizzle is just holding his hand through this jungle, getting them farmed up nice and tightly. It's going to be important. We'll see if they want to go for a little invade here like TSM were doing all game last time. Flash X now playing the opposite role. He's actually sitting in the lane up here with Bestchuk.
Interesting, I think what they look to be doing is maybe pushing themselves all to level 6 super quickly. And that means Gabe Vizzle, Joseph, and everything will hit level 6 at the same similar time, and then they'll pull the trigger then. Remember, Koshka is kind of a level 6 bot. She hits level 6, you know, she looks to use that ultimate as quickly as possible and just get onto a target. We've got a bit of a trade in the lane here. Gabe Vizzle being aggressive. He is level 3 already. 2 points in the Merciless Pursuit as well.
Yeah, wants to be able to stack up nice and high, so he just gets a lot of extra free stats later on. We did last time, I think it was on about 35, I counted, 35, 36, so he was pretty tanky. Free stats are always nice things, you know. That's important for Gabe Vizzle. Every time we see him go in, off cooldown, Merciless Pursuit, landing them time and time again. Doesn't matter who they're on. Building up for the later game. Speaking of the later game, let's have a look at TSM's late one. We've got VonC. He's on this Sky, like you said. Not a pick we usually see from him now. How do you think it's going to actually fare against someone like Old School in these fights?
Oh, Idris typically is pretty good at sticking to these more mobile targets. It all depends on the use of Old School's ultimate. You kind of want to use it just before a predicted Suri strike, and then you can then jump out following the Suri strike and stick to the Sky. But if you do mistime it and you don't stick to the Sky, she can kind of juke you quite easily with that Suri strike. So Old School will have to be really good on the timing of his A and his ultimate. make sure that he's sort of getting in the right positions at the right time to stick to Sky, who is, you know, fairly mobile. Will have Frostburn built up as well as FlashX forced to use the boots. Get out of there. Pressure's starting to mount in the laning phase now.
Yeah, with that small roam from Joseph, really shows what he can do on that hero in terms of elevating the pressure on TSM. Bestchuck had to use the afterburn as well. FlashX, not too bothered, can heal himself on that sigil. There you go, all nice and healthy again. And now Von-C, maybe it's his time to pay a little bit of attention to this lane. It will be hard to lock down members of Cloud9 unless Bestchuck gets his hands on them. And I like TSM's adaptability as well. There's so many of these players that can play these various heroes in different roles. Obviously we saw Von-C with the glaive last time, and now it's in Bestchuck's hands. Old School took a little bit of damage there. Von-C's actually going to meet him in the lane, but Joseph is going to be here as well. TSM know this. They are just going to send him back to the jungle. Now Bestchuck just getting pounced on time and time again.
This is FlashX doing a great job of alleviating the pressure in the lane though here, Jaws. That's what Lyra can do, and FlashX so gifted with Lyra as well. It's one of his, you feel like he's talked about it, one of his favourite heroes to be able to play. But he's just been able to keep Bestchuck and A very safe. And I do like what C9 are doing. They're making this laning phase easier on Old School as well by grouping up and applying pressure on over and over. Joseph about to hit level 6, and you can see Von-C already working towards a reflex block because of the importance to have that by the time that Koshka hits level 6. Wondering if Bestchuck will do the same though. He doesn't really have any free item slots to make that happen, although has gold that he can use if he sells up. Yep, okay, double reflex block around the level 6 of Koshka. This is an absolute necessity, something that, you know, TSM as a team have been preaching as well. So now they shouldn't be caught out. It's whether Gabizzle can bait it out with his stun, however.
And we'll have to wait and see, because that stun is on a very short cooldown. Regardless of that, I mean, they can still jump in. They don't have to use that Koshka ultimate. You can just use that Pouncy Fun, the Twirly Death to get that little bit of AoE damage on TSM. So blowing that reflex block is going to be key for now Gabizzle to get down. But if not, you know, they can still engage on it. And the reluctance of TSM not wanting to use those cooldowns is going to be key for T9 to play off as well. Now, Old School once more just pressuring in this lane. Gabizzle taking commanding control of that mustache brush, and a big power spike has been hit from Joseph as well, as he does find Von-C in the jungle. But with that aftershock, he's going to want to make some plays. He's going to want to make them now.
Again though, with the double reflex block coming out, it might be harder than it seems to get the Koshka into a playmaking area. It's going to be up to Gabizzle to put pressure on, force a reflex block with the stun, and then for Joseph to follow up. Von-C is yet to hit his first item. He's working likely towards a Frostburn here on this Sky. We'll need about 300, 250 more gold before we can achieve that. On rotation, he might be able to pick that up when he heads towards the jungle shop. Probably going to have to wait for his backs to spawn to really achieve it. But again, by going for the reflex blocks, you do delay your power spikes, but it will keep you safe.
Yeah, it's better not to die and then just reach your power spikes later on. Old School now rotating down towards the fronts of TSM. They're going to spot out the Treant even. They're actually just going to spot out the other little minions. They're going to be able to take those away. Now TSM, they are on the aggression here. They have all been spotted out. Healing Cap actually going towards Von-C. Does use that 4 barrage to steal it. Or secure it. It's his jungle.
It's his jungle. It's not a steal if it's your own jungle. He does secure it, picks up the Frostburn. Frostburn, again, really good into Catherine. Something that we didn't talk about, by the way, is that application of Sky into Catherine. Sky's 4 barrage does not do enough damage per tick to proc the Storm Shield of the Catherine. So therefore, you know, it's very, very easy to get consistent damage on Catherine without punishing your own teammates. It's why a lot of people pick CP Sky into Catherine, because of that exact reason. Also means you can kite her, stop her landing those merciless pursuits with the Frostburn and the forward barrage. Makes it more difficult for her to find those team fights and those engages. So now that's been picked up for Von-C, it's a good time for TSM to search for some battles. But by pure CS alone as it stands, and jungle dominance, that 1,500 gold lead opened up for C9. That's because TSM have been on the back foot through just pure compositional strength.
And not only that, C9 did secure the gold miner a few seconds ago as well, straight under TSM noses.
They can't respond to it though, yeah. That's the issue, they just can't respond to it.
Well, speaking of not being able to respond, there's Chuck, face checks the brush, pays for it as well. Brush is going to heal him up with the sigil. Joseph maybe looking for a little bit of an in here. But you can see TSM's posturing now towards the top side of that turret to make it even harder for Joseph to actually make a forward play, a proactive play. Now positioning himself towards that top side. Best actually going to get found here, and Flash X is going to get stunned up by Gabe Vizzle. That merciless pursuit finding its mark this time.
Again, but nothing huge for C9 here. Not able to capitalize on Koshka's early game. She's been farming more than anything, and whilst that's good, you just know that Sky is going to outscale this Koshka eventually. Lots of damage onto.
Oh my goodness, he's just going to go down instantly. First blood, straight up to old school. And there's going to be jumping straight on top of Flash X as well. He's going to be able to get out of there. Nice ultimate there coming through from Von C, stunning up one member, Gabe Vizzle. And now I know Joseph's in a lot of trouble, does use that Pouncing Fawn on that turret to get a little bit of distance. Flash X using that passageway to actually escape the Kitten's claws. Nice pick up onto Best Chuck, will secure them first blood, and they're trying to go for this turret as well, just focusing completely on it, but TSM just trying to pick them off because they know Best Chuck's coming. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to find anything. That forward barrage actually stunning up Old School, slowing him up. In fact, that's the stun, that's the kill. Bonzi finds one. And C9 now just escaping with 2 of their lives remaining, but still taking that first turret.
Best Chuck has also learned his lesson. Too much damage came up for Joseph there as he's gone for the shielding. Von C, by the way, has been a monster this series. That play there by stunning up Gabe Vizzle, isolating Joseph, bought TSM enough time, not to defend their first tier turret, but at least to get some sort of return in the form of a kill onto Old School. But right now, C9 thoroughly in the driving seat, and it hasn't really been through anything major in terms of plays that they've made. Yes, they made a good play on the gold mine, they made a good play onto the tier 1 turret, but they haven't run away with things catastrophically. It's been TSM's reluctance to move out of their own jungle, especially Von C, really been restricted to his back camps for the most part, occasionally finding his forward healing trio. He's just been afraid to duel Koshka in the early game, which as a Sky is thoroughly within reason, because Koshka is very dominant against Sky before she gets that maxed up Suri Strike. Von C now is at overdriven Suri Strike, resets the cooldown of forward barrage, and also is on a very, very short cooldown.
Now Cloud9 once more, assuming control the mid portion of the jungle. Another gold mine is going to go over. Another 200 gold bounty paid over to each one of them. Cashing in. Going to be, that's an extra 400 gold through and through for each member after those 2 gold miners were taken. Death and Abrupt does come down. Joseph jumps over the wall, but Flash X is going to be there with a bright bulwark to dissuade him. Once more, TSM very happy to kind of face Joseph, but getting picked off one by one has been their crux at the moment.
Like what Gabe Vizzle has done here, he's gone for a contraption. Really good at dominating vision when you're ahead, but also has the double synergy of Catherine functioning so well with cooldown reduction, allows him to stack very quickly, brings things off cooldown more readily in these teamfight situations. So I really like that pickup from Gabe Vizzle, because obviously they've been able to dominate the gold mine by having pure vision control that TSM has not been able to clear because of how afraid they have been of finding C9 and going for a full-on 3 versus 3. Flash has to be careful here as Gabe Vizzle moves in, but will be able to escape quite nicely. It is now a 3,000 gold lead over to C9, but this is what we felt like it was going last game, you know. There was the C9 opening an advantage towards the middle portion of the game, and TSM finally found their way back in towards the late. Again, I think a lot of this is going to come down to Von C's personal performance here. He is going to be on one of the sort of linchpins. It's going to be giving over the sentry. Again, TSM unable to respond to C9 making these really aggressive plays on the map, and that's something that is worrying for TSM, because if they give up too much, they'll have to work too hard to find a recuperation. But Von C's now picked up his Broken Myth, so that's a big item spike for them to use.
Really? Especially with Cloud9 just running at him. It's very terrifying for him in that scenario. But now, with Von C stacking up those items, where does it become a point where he is going to be fed, or he is going to be at the point where he can face off against Old School and Joseph?
Really want him to get that. I think that now is good, but he should ideally want that Eve of Harvest, and then suddenly, you know, through clever positioning and use of his forward barrage, should be able to sustain up through the damage. Well, you know, Old School hasn't really found an inroad in these fights, but he's almost nearly hit late game build. He's actually going towards the breaking point, which is traditionally what you tend to see Idris's pick up when they go for a bruiser matchup, like against a double melee, or even just against Best Chuck, who's going to be on the front line for TSM. So he'll be looking to stack and then commit to the Sky. If he was looking to burst the Sky outright with the Koshka, you would expect him to go towards the tension bow, which is actually something that I felt would probably have been the better choice here. I would have maybe preferred to see him go for the tension bow, but I guess he assumes that he's going to be locked into a duel with Best Chuck, so therefore the ability to build the breaking point stacks and then find Sky after he's already built them is probably more influential for him. Cloud9 going to get another free gold miner because of the vision control that Gables has got because of that contraption and the fact they are just so far ahead in terms of map pressure. TSM unable to respond. It's very old school TSM play, super turtle-like as well.
Well, old school has finished his breaking point now. 3 gold miners from for C9. Massive advantage in terms of gold. They're 4,000 ahead now. Might not seem like a lot, but again, that's another tier 3 item for one of the C9 members.
FlashX trying to dissuade C9 for going to this Crystal Sentry, use the minion candy on it here. Just buffed it up a little bit, making it a bit more of a sort of a 4th member of the team rather than half a member of the team in these team fight situations around the jungle. But I really like what C9 are doing. They're pushing every advantage that they can. They're just saying, okay, you're not going to fight us. We'll take every safe haven you have away from you, which is including that Crystal Miner. And now Gabe Bizzle's going to solo it out. Or try and solo it out, it looks like, as FlashX comes to respond.
Has got the minion candy, has actually popped it on, but won't stand against 3 members of Cloud9 who just end up securing it. Only 1 life remaining on that sentry now. TSM slowly getting choked out by C9.
And TSM are just letting this happen as well. They have done nothing realistically in terms of bad plays, no face checks really. They've had no bad team fights, but they are just reluctant to fight C9. I guess they are waiting for that 3-item spike that Vonsi has now hit, but there's only so much space you can give to a team like C9 because they will just run away with it. There is a scout trap there, so they do realize that C9 was stacking in that brush, and again, they were reluctant to do anything with it. I don't know what TSM are waiting for. Are they waiting for the Atlas to be finished for FlashX? They're waiting for Best Check to finish his tension bow? Is they sort of really trying to play around their late game spikes? They're trying to turtle as hard as they can? They need to get some control back here. Because, you know, we saw how quickly Idris can take things like Kraken. TSM just let this happen. That's going to be tough for them, and I think that this is the right move by C9. They are saying, you are not fighting us. Let's bring you to us. And Vonsi heads back here. This is oh my god, they're just going to give Kraken away. They are just giving Kraken away because they feel that they cannot fight for it. TSM have just, this has been PvE for Cloud9 so far.
Been what it was, 1-on-1. That's it. Kraken's going to go over to Cloud9. They end up just taking out that Crystal Sentry, who's going to respawn once more. This is his last life. Minion candy used, but again, C9 just whittling it down. Vonsi reluctant to join this engagement, and now Cloud9 forcing this fight. Joseph jumping forward. Nice use of the blast tremor, silencing 3 members of TSM. They do get the start onto Old School, and now Joseph jumps back in once more.
That ultimate
block on the death from above from Vonsi. And now FlashX is going to find himself Old School. He is going to be able to secure that kill if he's not careful.
Oh, Vonsi the god!
Oh my god, Vonsi. Suri striking over the wall does find 1 kill. Joseph now is going to jump on him. Twirly death and a basic attack will finish off the kill. There comes the ultimate from Joseph. He finds the double kill. He finds the ace. The Kraken's still on the board as well. Cloud9. They've just pulled the plug on TSM.
Yeah, but TSM had just given them this. They didn't even make C9 work for it. They were so reluctant to even try and find an engage in the early game. I don't know what they were scared of. I think it was the Koshka Sky matchup potentially, but they did nothing. They let C9 get away with this. C9 have had to work for none of this lead because they have just farmed it up. They've taken neutral objective after neutral objective. They have been almost uncontested, taking the Crystal Miners. Vonsi almost had that fight. He tried to lock on, I think, to I Love Joseph to get the Suri strike, but unfortunately misclicked and walked towards him, which then gave I Love Joseph the killing blow. But I don't know. TSM have been passive, really passive, and that is unlike them. Maybe it's because Vonsi's not on a very early game playmaking hero. Maybe you should not give him these late game scaling heroes. Leave Best Chuck to be the late game scaling carry. Give Vonsi the playmaking heroes, because it doesn't look like this is the formula that gives TSM that winning mojo.
Or bad mojo. Have that Batiste come back. Very good. That was a pleasure to watch, in all honesty, with Vonsi making plays with Batiste. Not seeing it in this matchup. He is more of the damage dealer, and Best Chuck's more of the setter-upper, like you were saying. Joseph's going to dive in again. That's going to be a bright bulwark down, which means he can jump straight onto Vonsi. Vonsi is just melting. Death from Above does come down. He ends up just going down instantly as well. FlashX gets jumped on with the ultimate from, well, Yummy Cannon Frenzy, that is, from Joseph. Old School is now just going to chase FlashX away. Did use the passage to get over the wall. And you can see Best Chuck just couldn't make any damage stick. Has to just go for this recall here. Will end up going back to the base with FlashX. Vonsi just gets jumped on as soon as that bright bulwark goes down. And C9 just walking all over TSM. Stark contrast to what happened first game.
I think Death from Above needs to come out instantaneously. I know Vonsi tried to play around the Death from Above and use the line to then Suri strike past, making it difficult for C9 to follow up, but it was far too late. He'd already received those lethal doses of damage. Again, I much prefer Best Chuck on the carry late game hero, the one that is supposed to be the mechanical powerhouse in terms of the damage output. Have Vonsi on something that can make plays. Yes, Sky can make plays, but she is so susceptible, especially to this composition from C9. Everything on the C9 composition screams good against Sky in some way, although obviously Catherine, we know the sort of counter there, we know that once the Frostburn comes down, but it relies on Vonsi making plays. If Vonsi isn't protected, stun limits his mobility. Joseph can keep up with him with the speed, and Old School can stick to him like glue.
They haven't lost a single turret yet either. Cloud9 doing a fantastic job against TSM. TSM now use that Death from Above on a very short cooldown. A Kraken was started from Cloud9 as well, but they did disengage to maybe look for a small engage here. Another stun does land. Old School over to the side here. You can see he just wants to find Vonsi. Nice reposition there from Best Chuck.
Good for TSM.
This is really good for them. Now Vonsi is going to use that Death from Above, but Best Chuck and A just gets taken out first off. Joseph, gotta be careful. Vonsi is going to come forward. He's going to find that passageway through. This is going to be really good for Vonsi, getting a lot of free damage down to Old School as well. They trade 1-for-1 in that regard, and now it's Vonsi in Gabe Bizzle's face. We'll just be able to just chunk him out with that forward barrage. Death from Above doesn't quite connect, but just going to chase him down with the Suri strikes. He's going to ignore that Crystal Sentry. He's going to find the ace, but when will he do it? And in fact, actually,
wait a second
here. Crystal Sentry doing a lot of damage. He's actually going to save Gabe Bizzle. Almost a reverse ace there, almost double ace even. Vonsi finally finds the kill, gets the ace regeneration buff, and is going to walk to lane.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be anything going worth Kraken side, because TSM Sky very, very bad at taking Kraken, but should be able to get at least a turret from this engage. Vonsi there was a god, okay? I mean, I did criticize potentially that I liked the roles the other way around. Right there, Vonsi was a god. Single-handedly set that fight up so nicely, even despite the late fountain coming out from Flash X. Best Chuck and A went down. He did get a lot of good early damage in that team fight. But that was all Vonsi, the Vonsi show. Built up so many stacks on his Broken Myth, great Death from Above placement, and the chase down potential was so strong. That's the kind of area that TSM like to fight in though, Jaws. If you walk through a choke point, you've got to remember that Sky has a vector on her Death from her forward barrage, and that's what she has to stick to when she chooses to fire it. If you walk down a firing line like that jungle lane, wait a second.
Oh, Joseph does get found out in the jungle trying to take his front camps. TSM now they're pressuring Cloud9. Maybe they've got that gusto that they needed. That one team fight has gone in their way, and now they're deciding, actually, we can fight Cloud9. That's exactly what we want to do right now.
Well, Aegis is completed on Vonsi. He's got a bit of armor to his name as well, so he's got a little bit tankier. Not so easy to take down for the C9 roster. And if TSM can bring C9 to the scenario that you can see here, where Vonsi basically is given a free firing line, that's really, really good for TSM. I think C9 have got a good idea of trying to push the lane and bring TSM up to the lane, because if they can fight them in the lane area, that's an excellent place for C9, because it makes it harder for Vonsi to position his shots as easily.
Well, they're trying to go for a small engagement here. Best Chuck's on the front line, but does manage to disengage there. Old School is now completely isolated. He might just be the first casualty of this war, but Joseph's going to dash forward. He's going to find that 20 death kill onto Best Chuck. And now that Suri Strike's doing a lot. Vonsi ends up trading up one there, or at least trying to on Old School. Flash X is down. Vonsi might be just next if he's not careful. Death from Above is going to keep Cloud9 separated from him, but he's too low, I think, to care.
He's still
going to find the kill onto Joseph, but he's all stunned up. Old School needs to be able to find this final blow. Gabe Bizzle trying to work towards him. That shield just disintegrating Vonsi. That's going to be the complete ace here from Cloud9. They might just end the game.
They should be able to end the game here. I don't think TSM have got enough time to respond. It's going to be very close. Got to give credit where credit's due. C9 change up the tactics and focus Best Chuck, take him out very quickly before Vonsi can build up those stacks. And it proved excellent here. Best Chuck should respawn, as will Flash X. It'll be a fight to try and burst down Old School, but I think this should be an easy game win now for C9.
Yeah, Old School's going to dip, dive, and dodge around that crystal. It's going to be fairly easy for them, you can imagine. There comes the blast drummer, there comes the silence, there comes the game. Cloud9 will tie this series up 1-1.
A really, really nice change of pace for C9 in that last fight. Took Best Chuck NA out as the priority target before Vonsi had the chance to build the Broken Myth stack, something that was so integral to the way that he was winning these team fights. Look, TSM are not a team that gives up the early game like that, and that was 15 minutes of giving everything on the map to C9, and that's just not TSM. TSM need to be more aggressive from the jungle, and I think that's why you need to put Vonsi on something more early game focused.
Well, we'll see if he does want to do that in game number 3. So tight between these two Titans. But to break that game down even further, we got everybody over on the desk.
A very passive version of TSM there, believing in the Vonsi late game hyper carry Sky, but it wasn't quite enough for them to pull back into that game. And Cloud9 with a very impressive early game, snowballing into a very impressive game, all things considered, managing to play that aggressive composition exactly how we expected them to.
Yeah, I mean, they did a really good job focusing objectives and slowly getting turret after turret, then sentry, and they fought definitely to their win conditions. I mean, that was a good kill on Glaive there that got them the first turret. Glaive, Chuck just checked over the wall, got stunned, and just immediately blown up. And then they back off immediately. TSM was not able to get a turret in return, and Cloud9 slowly took each objective one at a time, then sentry, then jungle, and then just repeated that.
And like those two replays, that was basically the entire early game, because really not that much action happened. But then once we got to the late game, things really start to kick off.
Yeah, it wasn't until the 16-minute mark there Cloud9 finally faced any sort of opposition in this game, really. TSM was just playing so passively for so long, and you know, I talk about times when you're being invaded and you just need to back off, just let your opponents have it and not give up the kills. That's true in the sense that, yes, you want to not give up the kills and let them have some objectives, but you have to still be rotating and trying to take something for yourself as well. Whereas TSM, this entire first 15 minutes, were taking nothing. They weren't getting extra push in the lane when they allowed Cloud9 to rotate into their jungle. They weren't pushing into the jungle when Cloud9 rotated up into the lane and took turrets. It was just a very flat performance.
Yeah, the key there, watch, like, a lot of these fights, Gabe initiates with the stun, and Cloud9 just takes full advantage of the burst power that they have with Idris and Koshka. For example, the last fight by Sentry, Old School is on Glaive 1v1, and then Glaive gets stunned, and then boom, they blow him out. Like, look at it, he got stunned again, and that's how much damage they're doing. And every time someone gets stunned, Cloud9 is so decisive. They jump on that person, they blow him up, and then they focus the next person that's close to them, which is Lyra, and then finally the Sky here. It was an insane play. This last fight was just crazy how decisive they were. And to think that they were to focus the Glaive because they changed it up. The fight before this, Old School tried to go over the wall to get onto Sky, and they lost that fight. So now they're like, you know, let's just focus the front line and kill Chuck first, and we'll do it Sky last, and it just worked out completely fine. I mean, just great decision-making by Cloud9.
And also, great kind of juggling the aggro during those kind of fights where Vonsi got everyone super low. Like, that last fight there could have gone so badly had he managed to finish off Joseph, had he managed to finish any of these targets, but Cloud9 jumping back and forth in.
Not only that, but I mean, even the previous fight where it was just Gabe Vizzle against Vonsi, you figure that's just going to be an easy cleanup, but Gabe Vizzle just rotated around, used that Crystal Sentry to his advantage to really delay and almost actually end up taking Vonsi down in that situation. So really heads-up play by Cloud9, and you know, when they recognized that TSM were playing so passively, they just started taking every single objective in rapid succession.
Yeah, by 74, they had an 8K gold lead. Cloud9 took 3 gold mines. Their objective game was so good. Their macro game was solid. TSM just suffocated. They could not go in their jungle, could not do anything, could not respond. So really good rotations by Cloud9 to force that pressure.
Yeah, Cloud9 were basically saying, like, look, if you're going to be passive, we are going to take literally everything on this one. Let's start to talk about this next game, talking about the draft. Because Cloud9, they've finally taken a game off TSM after a couple of weeks of kind of a dry patch for this team. What has to change now for TSM if they want to win out this series? Like, do they have to go back to this early aggression? Maybe this kind of ideally macro-based like late game composition just didn't seem to really work out for them.
Yeah, 2 things. Idris and Catherine are very, very big question marks there on the side of TSM. They have to decide to ban Catherine or ban Idris or not give it to Cloud9 because both Old School and Gabe are so proficient on that. And then you give Joseph a hero that he's super good at, like Koshka. He performed way better than he did versus like Keshul, for example.
Yeah, I was going to say, it wasn't so much for me the Idris and the Catherine, it was the Koshka that really set all that up. Obviously, later on, yes, the Catherine and the Idris are very good.
They played extremely well, though. I mean,
I'm not saying they
didn't
play extremely well, but that whole game was set up because Joseph was so aggressive with that Koshka. That's why TSM was playing so passively and gave up so much of the objectives. That wasn't really... The Idris Catherine was what carried them through the late game, The early game was set up by the Koshka.
So TSM needs to take Baron here. If they don't, then Cloud9 is going to ban it. And then if they take Baron, then Cloud9 is going to ban Lyra against them. So TSM is going to take the Baron and switch it up a little bit. Now they need to ban probably Grumpjaw or Koshka. Grumpjaw will ban, and Cloud9 will then either ban Koshka or Lyra here. And now TSM will probably take the Koshka and not give that to Joseph, because Koshka Baron is actually a pretty good combo into Idris. Now they can play like potentially Catherine again with a strong jungler, maybe like a Ozo. We'll see what Cloud9 wants to decide here.
Yeah, so the Koshka can set them up for the early game, the Baron sets them up for the late game. Nice composition so far from TSM, but 2 picks remaining for Cloud9. They have plenty of time to figure out how to go against this, how to counter these picks out of TSM.
I wouldn't be at all surprised to see another Catherine come out from Gabe Vizel. Catherine is one of the stronger captains against the Baron. Lance is very strong against the Koshka, so either one would work, but Catherine. I think they're looking for that reflect damage when the jump jets come out.
So Catherine here, and I think a good hero is Taka or Ozo. Ozo can get onto the Baron, and he does a lot jump back and forth against Koshka. So Idris and Ozo can kind of focus down either Baron or Koshka, whoever they got in the front line. Or they can go Glaive and go CP Idris. I don't know if Old School plays a CP Idris, but that's also an option. Joseph has a pretty solid weapon Glaive. So I think out of those 2 options, they will do that. Or maybe Batiste, but I don't know if Batiste will make sense because Baron just outranges both of them. So let's see what Cloud9 is going to decide here. But Taka or Glaive looks like the best option, I feel.
We'll see how they choose to finish out this composition. They've still got 18 seconds on the clock, so good amount of time to think things through. Make sure that they're confident in their final pick before they actually lock things in. It is going to be that Glaive coming on into things. So once again, very kind of hard engage heavy composition.
Yeah, and then Lance or Arden will come out from the side of TSM. If they want to play a more aggressive game and win jungle with Koshka, they can go with Fortress, honestly, and just win the jungle with Koshka. So that could come out. But I think what makes sense is either probably Arden or Lance here. Lance will probably be better against the Cath because Arden can get stunned out of his gauntlet and stuff like that. So I think probably Lance will come out here for Flash. But let's see what they decide. That's going to be the last pick for TSM. It's going to be a crazy game. This draft looks pretty good on both sides.
Yeah, it's going to be a mad game.
What? What?
Captain Krull? Is that what we're seeing right now?
Wait.
I don't know what to say.
That is very interesting. They want to maybe shut down the Idris and just get Krull on him? But wow. Okay.
This is crazy, honestly. TSM drafting something that I don't think anyone is expecting here. And honestly, they're going to be playing a style that is never seen in competitive Vainglory.
Yeah, we have not seen this at all. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous. It was one of those situations where we've been talking all day about the fringe picks, about the off-meta. Doesn't get much more off-meta than what's likely to be a Captain Krull.
I mean, is there...
Hopefully he uses the Corsair skin.
Is there a conversation here where the Krull isn't a captain, where there is just no captain in this composition, they just go full aggression? Like, is that...
That's so risky.
I honestly just don't know
There's not enough gold to go around.
It wouldn't work against the Cat. There is enough gold because ambient, but it's not. It doesn't work because Catherine is so good. She'll just stun one of the squishies. You need a tank to, like, maybe take the stun or block the stun or whatever, or get in the way of Catherine, but that wouldn't work. So it's probably going to be a Captain Krull, I'm assuming.
So how do you have to play this composition with a Captain Krull? Like, how does that fit into a composition? How does that set you up for a victory?
It's all about just being super, super tanky and having a bit of cooldown. Krull's ultimate in his most recent change was to knock about 20 seconds off of his cooldown, ultimate cooldown, and so it's just going to be trying to throw those stuns out as frequently as possible.
All right, I know you want to say more, Sweet J, but we don't have time. We've got to get on into this. Echo Krull? Okay, we'll see if that's going to be the case. A lot of stuns coming out. TSM versus Cloud9. Krull captain coming on to this one. Let's find out who wins it. Hashtag Vainglory8. Let us know who you're supporting. It's time to head on to the Halcyon Fold and finish off this semi-final.
Thank you very much, guys. And that's only a little bit out of left field from TSM. Krull captain coming through for Vonsi. Like they said, I don't think anybody expected it.
It's not. I don't even think it's not Krull captain. It's FlashX playing Koshka captain.
Oh yeah, so it is. I'm blind. I'm actually super blind.
It's fine, buddy. For anyone that doesn't know, me and Jaws have now been broadcasting a variety of broadcasts for about 8 hours now. So it's getting there towards the time in the UK where it's getting late. But I'm interested to see how this works. Now, specifically because Koshka doesn't really bring anything to a team that is captain-worthy apart from her ultimate. Therefore, at level 6, after Flash X hits level 6 and Von C hits level 6, this is two ultimates that require a response to the reflex block. If you can bait one of them out, you can use the other. So it's going to be potentially even a, thinking about even a Crucible rush for Gabe Vizzle very, very quickly. Also has a lot of early game pressure here for TSM, and it means that you can scale up toward the late game and get Baron going. And remember, also in last-ditch situations, you can use that Koshka ultimate to peel for the Baron. A target that sticks to him like an Idris, you can just use that to peel instantaneously.
And best chuck on the Baron there. That's something to fear, I think. I mean, Flash X, he has to hit that level 6 mark though. He has to rely on a lot of his base damage to actually do anything meaningful in the early game.
Apologies, I didn't realize what I saw Old School's items. He's going to be going CP Idris. This is going to be Joseph on a weapon power glaive, you feel, and Old School looks like he might go towards a CP Idris. Only because this is the classic CP Idris start. You go for Book of Eulogies and then work towards some CP. It could be that he's in lane against the Baron and really doesn't want to sort of be under the thumb of the Baron, and you could end up just seeing Joseph go for an on-hit glaive build with a tension bow and an aftershock, but this generally tends to be the start of a CP Idris, although I've classically always felt that weapon power Idris is better against Baron.
Joseph stealing away one of those front camps. Flash X is going to answer him though with a little bit of scratch damage. That's what it will be this game. Tiny little scratches.
Yeah, they're not going to be super impactful from Flash X. Again, he is an ult bot for the most part, to be honest.
Von C is going to make his way into Cloud9's jungle now. Best Chuck and A. Look at him free hitting on the backline. C9 taking a lot of damage. They're all grouped up here. Old School going fairly low and Flash X still pounding away at Old School, trying to make any damage stick possible. Best Chuck jump jetsing forwards. Gabe Vizzle pops that shield though. Is going to dissuade him from doing any more damage that he wants to, but Von C using that speed up, running like the speed of light. Flash X gets it, and Old School's going to pay for it with his life as well. Von C secures first blood.
Damn, TSM. That is the early game aggression that we want to see. You don't just give the map up to C9, you take it from them. And Flash X and Von C super aggressive there, pick up the backs of C9. C9 look like they're heading towards TSM's backs very quickly here. They might even just be able to get the fronts, but that was an aggressive move. Gabe Vizzle looks like they're poising for it. They are poising for the backs here. They're going to see Best Chuck respond. The rest of TSM come through. This will be, I think this will be runaway time for C9.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. So, Gabe Vizzle still determined to take those backs, though. Von C will meet him. So will Flash X now. Joseph gets out nice and safely with Best Chuck roaming towards the lane now. You can imagine Gabe Vizzle, yep, he's going to pop those boots, and he's got Merciless Pursuit as well for speed up and stun available to him in a couple of seconds. But still going to chase him. Best Chuck and A jump jetting forwards. In fact, using those boots to get forward, to get a little bit distance between them. Speaking of distance, though, Merciless Pursuit just came off cooldown in time.
Yeah, just came off. I don't know if Best Chuck had his jump jets available to jump in. It might have come off cooldown just as the Merciless Pursuit did. So it might have been a long reach for him to land those basic attacks, as now they put pressure here onto Idris, who is Old School, by the way, been able to soak up a bit more lane experience by himself, which means he's a little bit ahead of Best Chuck.
Hang on a second, Von C might be in a lot of trouble here. Joseph is going to find the stun on him. Gabe Vizzle's going to meet him as well. Smite away does a lot of damage. Flash X actually going to meet Von C now at the fronts of C9. Going to steal those away. But still, pressuring Joseph is exactly what Von C's good at, and it's exactly what he is doing.
Flash does it again. He steals another healing camp away.
My goodness, what? When is this guy ever going to stop, in all honesty? In fact, Old School is going to get jumped on here again underneath that turret. Flash X almost pulled the trigger again. Von C with a massive 280 damage smite. Won't quite find the kill on Old School, but will force him back underneath this turret.
And the one thing about these two heroes that you see here in terms of Koshka Captain and Von C on the Cruel is even in the late game, they will serve purpose for Baron. Obviously, building weakness stacks on the likes of Old School, who is actually going for weapon power Idris. I was assuming that it was going to be CP Idris because of the way that he built at the start, but I imagine that might have been a build that was more key to just surviving the laning phase versus Baron. Looks like it's going to be Joseph going on hit aftershock tension bow build on this glaive. There is a world where we see a double weapon power build come out, but I don't think that'll be the case, just simply because you don't often rush tension bow. If you're going to do that, you go for something a little bit more like Sorrow Blade, then go towards a traditional double tension bow build from your laner and your jungler. But I think this is more likely to be a cooldown on hit build for the glaive here. And I prefer weapon power Idris into Baron. I do. So I like this better from C9.
We'll see if they can make it work. Von C, he's got From Hell's Heart now. Those big stuns the desk we're talking about are available, or at least some of them have come online. Best Chuck, Flash X, slowly waddling their way, or at least Best Chuck is, towards the lane. Now Ultul's going to back here. I think that's kind of wise, just making sure he doesn't get turret dove.
Yeah. What I also really like about this Cruel in the late game is because this is a weapon power Idris, and because he's going to be looking to stick to Best Chuck, you just build weakness stacks on the Idris. Realistically, the only target that's going to provide a tangible threat in the late game to this Baron. He then has a massive damage reduction. You can peel for him using From Hell's Heart. Massive engage.
I'll speak about From Hell's Heart. Ultul goes very low. That mortal wound being enough to finish him off. Vonsi smites the kill away, and that's another kill for TSM.
Yeah, Gabriel knew that there was literally no point using Fountain there because he was dead to the smite regardless before the heal of the Fountain could come through. So that was a nice engage by TSM, and you expect that post level 6 from both FlashX and Vonsi to basically using those on cooldown, which is why you see those 2 Oak Hearts appear in the inventory of Old School and Joseph, because they need their reflex blocks. They will come out very soon. Gabe Bizzle almost certainly going to prioritize Crucible as his second item because the reflex blocks for the team will be needed. But TSM off to a very good start here. Super aggressive in the early game, just like we see from TSM on a regular basis, and the innovation behind their picks as well. If this works, which by the way has been, I don't know if it's going to work as the game progresses, but if this works, the very, very unique approach to the game again from TSM. From Hell's Heart on cooldown, 3 more seconds, 2 more seconds, no reflex block there yet for Old School, but it is now level 6. They are going to flare him out though.
Keeping it fresh is exactly what TSM's good at. Again, they have been defeated now. Wow, nice. Yummy Candidate Frenzy straight on top of Old School. He was dead before he can even get my words out. From Hell's Heart, not even needed. Again, smited away by Von C.
And this is Flash X's words specifically was about Koshka, where you need a reflex block when she hits 6 or someone dies. And TSM playing to that keepsake of the way they've been approaching the game. This is literally just, you know, hit them hard and hit them fast. You've got lockdown ultimates at that stage. They're going to jump straight on. From Hell's Heart comes out.
From Hell's Heart does land to Joseph. Does use that afterburn to get away. Flash X hasn't got the damage to follow that up, but that will mean a nice secure here from TSM.
Speaking of double weapon power, this looks like it's going to be double weapon power. I assumed this was going to be on hit from Joseph, but he looks like he's going to weapon power as well.
Oh my god, they're going to dive Old School again. Does he really stand a chance at this point? Flash X will secure himself the first kill of the game.
I mean, I've seen TSM do this with the Cruel Baron, where Cruel does go down a weapon power build path, looking like he's going towards, I imagine, it's going to be a tension bow, so you have a double tension bow into the armor. It looks like Joseph is doing the same thing. We have got double weapon power. And that makes sense against Baron, right? You want two heroes that can dive and deal consistent damage to the Baron, and yes, both Idris and Glaive can do that. I like that. That's an interesting way of approaching it, but TSM are throwing that right back at C9, saying we're doing pretty much the same thing here. We're looking at bursting the Idris before he can even have an effect.
I mean, it's looking pretty terrifying, in all honesty. There's 3 kills on Von C, who's just going to run in there, and Best Chuck is starting to get his items online. Tension Bow, Sorrow Blade, now possibly going to try and pick up the monocle, and with that, when he's fully online, he's going to be ready to go. And speaking of ready to go, TSM,
that's a lot of damage onto Von C.
Straight in there. Von C's going to have to exit the fight very quickly though, but a massive Hell's Heart does land onto Joseph. You only Candidate Frenzy to follow it up, and they almost take out Von C in that fight and then completely turn it around with Best Chuck's damage.
I love the chaining of the ultimates from TSM, making it so the reflex blocks can't happen, because that's so good. Stun does come out onto Best Chuck. He has to be careful here. Fountain has been used, but TSM, even after face checking and Von C going so low, survive. They're going to put pressure onto Old School. He's getting low.
Oh, Old School gets stoved on yet again, smiling away by Von C, and Gabe Bizzle's going to be next on the menu for TSM. Flash X finds the kill. 7-0. We are only 9 minutes, well, 10 minutes, make that in a few seconds. 10 minutes into the game, TSM. Game number 2, they looked a little bit lost. This time, they found the map.
How do you deal with this? The consistent engage pressure of this TSM composition, making it so hard. So hard for C9 to cope with, because they just chain CC onto one target. You reflex block one, the other one comes through. Gabe Bizzle has not prioritized the Crucible. Went for the Atlas Pauldrons because of how important that seems to be against Von C. Again, Atlas Pauldrons do shut down a Cruel. But it's not just Cruel that you've got to worry about, it's the Baron as well. And it's that chain CC onto one target that seems to be doing the majority of the work. With only 2 reflex blocks on the team on different targets, if TSM just literally focus one target, they are going to lock someone down somehow.
Old School has to back again. He took 3 rockets from Best Chuck, and that was it. He was done. He's out of the fight, has to back off. He has got that reflex block to make sure FlashX can't get on top of him, but by the time he does pop that, Best Jug's going to jump on him regardless. Vonsi now setting up something here. There's going to be a nice Yummy Mechanic Frenzy going on to Joseph. Joseph does use that off burn away. That fountain is going to heal up the smite damage. Blast Tremor as well to make sure there's no follow-up, but that Ion Cannon almost taking out that turret from Hell's Heart. Does land onto Catherine. Gate Visual going fairly low. That turret does go down. Joseph's going to be the first casualty of war. And now 1-for-1 trade. And now Old School is trying to kill Best Jug, but I don't think he's got the damage to do it. He's trying to find that last executing blow. He does end up finding it in the end, but another trade, 2 for 2, with FlashX chasing down Gate Visual now. Can he find the last basic tag? I think.
Flash!
Oh, the shield comes through from Gate Visual in time. The ace comes through for Cloud9, but they can't do anything realistic.
They can't do anything with it, and TSM did get their main objective, which was that turret there. Best Chuck has now hit another item spike, triple items, the monocle is out, Von C has also got another blazing salvo in tow. We're probably going to go towards either a bone saw or a breaking point, you imagine. Not a huge amount of armor to contend with right now. And considering you're going up against double weapon power, it's literally just going to be who can deal as much weapon power damage as quickly as possible. Going to be Sorrow Blade next for I Love Joseph. I love the approach that C9 are taking here. It's literally blow a target up, glaive, big damage on hit. Old School able to follow up too with his Sorrow Blade Poison Shift build, but I have not seen a double weapon power versus a double weapon power game for a very long time. Probably one of the first times I have seen it. You know,
It's turning into be an interesting one. Nice jump jets away. There comes the Mechanic Frenzy. He is going to get blocked though. Look at Best Chuck. Still dealing 3 damage on the backline, and already Old School is going to go down. That's going to be from Hell's Heart landing on I Love Joseph. They're going to pylon in him and take the kill. Vonsi is going to get the smite away, and TSM coming up big once again.
they should be able to get Goldmine here for free. What a great ultimate by FlashX as well. It was a peeling ultimate. It is the peel bot that is the Koshka functioning as a captain, protecting Joseph from a dive. Sorry, protecting NA from a dive. And Best Check was able to escape because he used that as a defensive Koshka ultimate. Gabe is all going to make the chase, gets the stun. But Goldmine has already gone over to Von C, and TSM are going to back out after another victory, accelerating their gold lead here.
6,000 in their pockets for them. 3 and 11. With just such a commanding lead at this point, it's extremely hard for Cloud9 to see a route back into this. But what are their routes? Let's kind of break that down a little bit here, as there's a bit of lull in the action. We are 13 minutes in. Cloud9 have only lost 1 turret, which is honestly more than they can hope for at this point. Because with the amount, and you kind of look at the scoreboard, you go, okay, TSM.
I tell you what the route is
pressuring.
in here. The route in here is Crucible. like I don't know why Game Pass hasn't got it yet. I guess they're just saying, okay, like we just rush a target and hope that they don't chain CC onto one target, because it's a little bit harder to hit the from Hell's Heart if you group up and make it so that that target is not less easily selected. But man, I don't know. I'm not going to touch on it too much because I do have a habit of talking about 1 point over and over again.
Oh, hang on a minute. They're going to go Old School once more. Best Chuck still hiding away here. Joseph doesn't quite find the afterburn. That fountain coming out is going to heal Vonsi enough already. And there goes 1 kill for Best Chuck. This might just be another as Koshka finds the second. Gate Visual is going to fall 1 apiece for TSM. The ace comes through for them as well. They flick the switch. And that is firmly a bright light for them to just finish up this game.
Vonsi prioritised the metal jacket here. There's only 1 tension bow, and we all know that 2 tension bows is greater than 1 tension bow when it comes to weapon power builds. And Old School not yet got his. He's actually going towards a breaking point. So only Joseph is doing damage to Vonsi, and with no attack speed to his name, he's not going to be doing it very quickly. And it's really only going to be that big first hit that causes the majority of the damage. Old School really not touching Vonsi as probably as much as he should do at this point in time. And Vonsi able to reduce a huge amount of damage with the prioritization of that full metal. Not a full metal jacket, that's a film, Keenum. Metal jacket coming out. So I think TSM have played this well. They've trumped the double weapon power coming out from C9. They've played their double weapon power better by prioritizing 2 tension bows, making any armor gain for C9 a little bit less effective. Very impressive stuff from TSM. Very, very impressive. And to make this Koshka captain work as well, you know, the chain CC at level 6 was monstrous. Really, really was, and that's why I genuinely think 2 reflex blocks, 1 from a Crucible and 1 from a person is needed. But the way that TSM executed on it has been fantastic, and I mean, you can't take that away from them. It's a bloody tornado trigger for Von C.
And FlashX has even built the Echo. He wants to get Yummy Catnip Frenzy down on 1 target.
That's insane. That is insane. The peel from an Echo Yummy Catnip Frenzy against no Crucible as well is going to be incredible. It's almost like Best Chuck and A is never going to get hit.
Kraken is going over to TSM quite handily. Cloud9, I think they're just going to let this one go down. Yeah, Iron Cannon is going to be able to secure it.
They can't fight. They've lost every fight single-handedly. I don't know what they're waiting for. They maybe need to build up more armor here. Joseph has gone for a light armor and a coat of plates. He's got 2 sources of armor. Instead of finishing up the metal jacket, he just decided to sort of use odd slot efficiency. I guess a way he's going to go towards an Atlas Pauldron and a metal jacket eventually, but just don't think he's going to get there, Jaws. I don't think he's going to get there in this game. TSM have just executed this incredibly unique composition so well, all placed around a single target lockdown. And with that echo coming out for Flash X, it's fantastic.
Oh, Blast Tremor, War Treads have been popped. They're going to jump straight onto Best Chuck. Will he be able to get to reposition? No, he won't, because he actually goes down here. Old School's going to find that first kill. Yanni Cannon Frenzy onto Old School in return. Are they going to be able to find any more? Echoes is going to get popped, and he actually is going to go down. So Flash X picking up 1 for 1 here, and Vonsi is still surviving these fights. But look at the damage coming out from Joseph.
Shield coming
He's
out.
going to reposition Vonsi. Vonsi can't really enter the fight now, and it is just Flash X trying to defend against Joseph and Gabe Vizzle. That Kraken, remember, is still marching on the base. It is just going to chunk down those turrets.
Flash is just going to hold them here. Flash is going to hold them here for as long as possible.
Turret 1 is going to fall. Vonsi just marching away towards C9's base. They're going to get one recall off, and look at Flash X. He's found one. He's going to actually just go down here, but Joseph is going to have to heal up as well. Vonsi just
He's got this.
cracking
He's got
crystal.
this.
TSM, they're going to take this series 2-1 with this such unique composition that Kraken's going to help them secure the game, and TSM go undefeated in series this week.
But I hope so, because they made it to the final.
Yeah. Yes.
Gotta say, that last fight, I felt that Flash X potentially should have blocked the Crucible, but... Sorry, blocked the silence with the Crucible, but TSM, I mean, I think that the display of that double lockdown composition was good enough in itself. What a beautiful, beautiful way to play it.
Beautiful game, beautiful picks, but to, unweave the stitches of TSM's composition a little more, we got Munch and the guys over on the desk to break that down.
TSM are the most ridiculous team in Vainglory, in the history of Vainglory. Like, how do you make this composition work and then dominate Cloud9 with it? The team that is rightfully second in North America, TSM are so far ahead of the competition, it blows my mind.
I mean, it's like I've been saying for years now, Kashka as a captain is the next level strategy. And I don't know why teams haven't been running this. I don't know. Like, I don't understand why they went for this Kashka still. I mean, obviously it worked out for them, but there's, like, the idea behind it, I guess, just being super aggressive, having that double lockdown. But there's other picks you could have taken that accomplish a very similar thing that I feel like would make more sense than Akashka did. But it's, again, they made it work. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you can't criticize it too much when they win.
Yeah.